Is it foolish to think criticism of LeBron is tantamount to betrayal? Are we overprotective of LeBron James?
I don't like the over because of the connotation. People are protective of LeBron James for good reason. Here's a couple of the reasons, the elements. One, it's very difficult in the entertainment scope to find something that's great from Hello, and all the way through its tenure. You can look at movies, you can look at albums, you can look at your favorite artists, you can look at basketball players, football players, whoever. From Hello, exceeding expectations and being great. So that's part one. I think that's where people really ride for LeBron. Two, to be that guy, to be him, and to never step in it, people are going to protect that. Because one, it's just amazing to see the scarcity in terms of people out there and the scarcity of anything that is just really, not really went against their greatness. But now let's get into why people are reacting, the emotional reaction, because guilt has a relationship with anger. And a lot of people are guilty of being less than in their own eyes than a LeBron James. So if you come at LeBron, what are you telling them about themselves? That's psychology one. Two, people are going to look at you, Jason, and I've seen this in our entertainment business. If you see a big guy who never played football talking about football, how eager are people to listen to that person break down the sport? You're a black man who is not a father, so people are not so eager to hear you criticize a black father. So if you mix all of those reactions up, what you're really dealing with is people protecting LeBron James because of his greatness, because it's one thing to idealize what he is, but it's another thing, as you said, in worship. People look at LeBron James, it's like, wow, that's aspirational. And a lot of people feel shorter than that, so they want to protect that. I just think that right now people are shooting at you because they question the qualification fully without you being a parent, and they question if you take a shot at him, what you really talking about with us if you ever wanted to go there.
Excellent points. I can't wait to get back to that.
Yeah,
Right, I get it.
I think we are overprotective, and rightfully so, because when you see a young man from Akron overcome the odds that a lot of us have to overcome, or most of society feels like they can relate to a young man coming out of the inner city and still being able to do the things that he's done, but not hand people opportunities, but give them education and knowledge to then support them, start supporting themselves. And we see him in this light to where he's celebrating his son. He's showing the same amount of excitement that he would if it was with the LA Lakers and one of his teammates did that, with the exception, they know they can't go on the basketball court or they will get fined. This is an opportunity for him to pour into his son something that he never got. And so I think that's where the most overprotecting starts. It's once we start to tell people what they shouldn't do when it comes to their kids and how they shouldn't respond or how they shouldn't act, we're crossing the line.
We do it all the time.
We do it all the time, but there's a saying, you farm your land, I farm mine. If I come and ask you to help me out with something over here, then we address that. Outside of that, let me do what I do.
I'm going to go in reverse order, or I'm going to go back at you. One, we do it all the time. Parents sit around, people sit around at games, question the parent over helicopter dad, this. If they're not famous, no one cares, no one gets all offended. We've put LeBron on a pedestal that I think is inappropriate. I just want to go, the whole overcome narrative with LeBron. I know so many people that have come from some real tough spots who were not given all the physical gifts that LeBron was blessed with. And so we think it's some amazing overcoming story. And I'm like, no, I can show you some real ones. I can show you my father, never made it to the NBA, but didn't know his dad, didn't have a great relationship with his mother, basically raised himself. I know, and that doesn't even include people that have made it to great heights in athletics that, hell, Muggsy Bogues, to me, overcame a lot more. So the overcome deal, I just think it's overplayed. I think, Marcellus, you make an excellent point that I've never thought of in terms of if you say this about LeBron, what would you say about me? And I think that part of me is like, if you really listen to me, there's nothing I would say about LeBron or anyone else that I don't already say about myself. I'm very self-critical and very transparent about my flaws, and again, and don't get bothered when people criticize me. A lot of people have never been a sports writer, blah, but people criticize my sports writing and blah, blah, and I'm good with it. I'm a public figure. I'm not above criticism, and the criticism actually, and I feel like maybe not on the same level because LeBron is clearly more famous, but I attract, I feel, more heat than LeBron. LeBron has far more passionate worshipers and defenders than I do. And I deal with a lot of heat. You don't see me whining and crying about, oh, y'all run out, everybody run out and protect me. I'm just a man. Everybody, and that's all LeBron is just a man. And I think we've put him in a special place that previously, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the people that died during the 60s, we didn't have that. We had vigorous debate and criticism of each other, and every other group has it, and that is the key to growth and evolution. If there's no iron sharpening iron, nobody's getting sharper. And I think we have been denying ourselves that by placing certain celebrities on pedestals, and we can't talk about them. I'm gonna save my worship for one thing and one person only. The rest of us are gonna get it, including myself.
Well, you know what's interesting? Listening to you right now, I think what's happening is getting displaced what your intention and what your focus really is, because you're talking about LeBron James's actions, but then you're really talking to his supporters' reactions. And you're having a conversation with Kuzma. You're having a conversation with the thousands and millions of likes and retweets of the video and your Whitlock. But you're not talking to LeBron James. So let's go analogous to what in the 60s, Malcolm and Martin, when they had their critical analysis through the media, and then they would use their talking points against each other and would talk directly or indirectly about each other. You and LeBron are not engaging in that right now. It's your supporters versus his supporters, and that's where it's getting lost. There is critical analysis happening right now. It's just not happening between the two subjects. It's happening between the roar of his crowd, which is going to be greater than the roar of your crowd. And I wouldn't get lost in saying LeBron is guilty of X because his people are the ones who are guilty. So why are we using LeBron's actions against LeBron when in reality your response is to those who support him?
Everything I'm talking about right now, I'm responding to my critics, not LeBron.
Right.
I'm trying to have a conversation. I'm using LeBron like anybody else in the sports world as a fodder to have a bigger conversation about other issues.
Yeah.
And happens to me, happens to him. But I'm not trying to conduct some war with LeBron. The reason why I, in recent years, have criticized LeBron so much is because I believe he's changed, and I think our point of views are opposite of each other. And so he tends to do more things that I find that I'm critical of.
Is that change evolution? Is that change growth? Is that change positive? A lot of people say, until you can point to something egregious, why the call-outs?
Yeah, because, again, that's our job.
No, I'm going beyond our job, because what people are taking offense to is like a father fully engaged. Maybe he's on 10 as a father, but he's all in. Is that an indiscretion?
I'm not calling it indiscretion. I called it inappropriate because that's what I believe. I call it I believe fame takes people places in unhealthy directions. I've seen it I've seen it a million times, in my view.
Yeah.
I've seen fame. It's a deal, and again, clearly not on LeBron's level, but it's something I fight every day. I don't see LeBron fighting that fight. I think something happened in the aftermath of the decision where LeBron pivoted a little bit and became more concerned with his public image and brand. And I see a lot of actions that I think are inauthentic and or unhealthy. and I point them out. I don't hate LeBron. When LeBron does great things, I've said on this show and praised him. When he does things I disagree with, I point that out as well. It's not personal. I'm not trying to go to war with LeBron, but I am. The people that are criticizing and act like, oh my God, you've taken a dump on the greatest human being in the world. Nah, pump your brakes, man. It's just a guy.
I don't think it's people saying you're taking a dump on the greatest human being in the world. I think what it boils down to is you're a black man, he's a black man. You're a public figure, he's a significantly larger public figure.
Yeah.
Why are you attacking him when in society, in the black community, everybody is going to feel like, man, we already got everybody else that's going to attack him and put under a microscope.
Greg, I'm not going to live under a standard again.
No, I understand that.
Well, I'm picking and choosing based on race because, Greg, I went for years in Kansas City where I used to attack Carl Peterson, the general manager of the Chiefs, Marty Schottenheimer, Scott Pioli, people I laid out much more viciously than LeBron James. And white people used to say, oh, you racist against white people. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm the critic. That's my job. I'm a critic.
And I completely understand that. But I think when we don't have the fully disclosed information of someone's why, it discredits us, or I shouldn't say it discredit us, but people automatically discredit our opinion. And that's what happens. My wife didn't grow up with mom and dad. I grew up with mom and dad. So our parental strategies are a little different. What I feel like, I can just do this because I saw my mom and dad do it, and it's not a big deal. She feels like, well, I got to go above and beyond that because I didn't see what it looked like. So now what I see LeBron James doing is going above and beyond what the average guy who did, like yourself, have mom and dad. So they don't feel like they have to do all of that because they saw it. He didn't see that in his life, so now I don't know how far I got to go, so I got to make sure I go above and beyond.
You're making my point. Again, that's why I think sometimes he needs to be publicly corrected because he doesn't know. And I think he was doing too much here. And again, you're going to have all the people over Twitter all the people over social media. You're right, LeBron, the kids love the black kid.
No.
But there's wiser people like, nah, that's really not the right
I don't believe I'm making your point because his why is not yours. His why is much deeper. So what we feel like is going above and beyond, he's not even doing enough because he's never seen it at the level that he's willing to give it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I get your point completely. And, you know, trust me, I'm sure there's some things that was denied and have went overboard on trying to make up for it, some insecurities that I have. Again, I totally get it. I just think that we need to have the room to criticize each other without going, oh my God, you've betrayed the race, you've done this, you've done, because again, when people criticize me, Marcellus and you have both just somewhat criticized me. It's not remotely personal.
But the final point for me is, back in the 60s, when you brought this up in your Whitlock, an example, you do know that when they were in opposing views and viewpoints, Martin and Malcolm, people went at each other because of that. And so nothing's changed now, so why do you now cry, I don't like this, when that's just what comes with the territory of having opposing viewpoints?
I think we're overprotective. I think there's too much of oh my God, you shouldn't do that. That again, I think people went at it then and there was less of, oh my God, this is unhealthy or this is setting us back. No, this is what human beings have done from the beginning of time in order to evolve.
Right? But you know what? They didn't say it set us back then because it wasn't no back.
Yeah, and I think
it wasn't a back.
It led to a lot of progress. All right, stick around. Later in the show, Marcellus and Uncle Jimmy will have approval ratings on yours truly. You can jump on Twitter right now. You can vote for my approval rating. I better be GOAT status. Also coming up, Jerry Jones says he doesn't need Zeke to win the Super Bowl. We'll tell you if he's completely delusional.